Well, here we are again, and I hope everybody's having a great summer. Okay, again here we have another video for you, but this time this is something from me personally that I wanted to share with everyone out there because I'm sure it has to do with a lot of people, and love the flowers, especially this time of the year. Because I've been on a time off, I've actually had the chance to kind of tune out everybody else, tune out the world, tune out all of the distractions, and actually spend a great time with the most wonderful person on the planet that I know, me. And I wish more of you could feel the same way about you as I feel about me. And as the stress and stresses left the body, which took about a week, I started to notice a change. And in order to kind of explain that to you, I'm going to put it this way to kind of give you the title of the video. This kind of came to me as it happened, so I'm going to give it to you as it happened. And I wrote it down here just so that I would have it. This reality, this experience, this moment you're living right now, today, this second, is the dream state. I'm going to repeat that. This reality you're living in right now, this experience, this moment you're living, whatever is happening to you, is the dream state. People are going to look at me and they're going to say, is he nuts? Nope. Totally sane. And the reason that I came to that conclusion was finally having had the chance to be totally clear and totally cut off from everything else around me. I was reflecting, there's that word again, and contemplating in here why I was feeling like I wasn't part of this planet anymore. Why was I feeling so detached and looking around me and looking at what other people are doing and some of the things that they're saying and some of the things that they're experiencing and some of the things, and this is what I found really, really enlightening, if that's the right word, is some of the things that a lot of people out there think that they're so important in their life that they take extreme measures to defend it or to exploit it or to express it. And I'm looking at it and I'm feeling, why am I feeling like this is so silliness? Why do people get so serious and so emotionally connected to all of these things and articles and products and commodities and indoctrination, religious indoctrination? And I'm looking at it and I'm feeling more and more detached from it, more and more less involved, and I'm starting to ask myself, what the hell's wrong with you, Mel? Why are you feeling this way? Why are you feeling as though like you're withdrawing from the physical world? And the more I kept thinking about it, the more it bothered me. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I've got to come to some kind of resolution or some kind of conclusion that's going to, just for me, okay? I'm not, connecting the dots here for anybody else. I'm just having a moment here of, shall we say, a conversation with my YouTube subscribers. And I'm sharing something that happened for me on my vacation time, my quiet time, my silent time. Whereas others of you, when you have a vacation time, you go to camp, you go to the cottage, you go to Barbados, you go to Cuba, you go to this, you go to that, you buy a ticket, you stand in line, you go through customs, you go through all of the stuff you have to go through. You wait 3 hours for your flight, there's late. You get on a plane full of hot, sticky, sweaty, smelly people with colds and viruses and God knows what all else. And you go to wherever you're going and you lay around for 2 weeks in the sun, get sunburned, diarrhea. And if you do a little bit of fight the winter, you may get the clap. You come back up and you're out of vacation and you've had a relaxation time. That's considered the norm. Is it? I don't consider it the norm at all. I think you're weird. I think this is not who you are. You're all of the people out there, they're just reacting to programming, conditioning. But this is what you need to do to feel this. This is what you have to do to feel that. This is what you need to take to feel good. In order to eliminate that pain, you need to pop that pill. In order for you to have great sex, you need to do this. Or in order to feel love, you have to have that. Or you need a him, or you need a her. And this is what's floating through my mental body in the thinking process as this is all is going on. And I'm saying, well, I'm getting more and more detached all of the time. And I even, to the point of going up on Netflix, we have Netflix, and they should have titled that Nuts Needing a Fix instead of Netflix, Nuts Needing a Fix. Because when I look at, some of the, I figure, well, I'm going to watch a movie, what the hell, So I start going through all of the stuff that's up there, and I'm looking at stuff like, well, Game of Thrones is not on Netflix, but that's another example. People get all excited over that thing called Game of Thrones. It's the most ludicrous, silly, ridiculous, programmed indoctrination I've ever seen. And you call going around with political mind screwing and killing people entertainment. And people get awards for that shit? Much less get paid? Duh. So this is all the general stuff that's kind of floating through me in the first couple of weeks of my quiet time. And I'm feeling, what do I need to do so that I can exist in physical reality? What's wrong with me? This is, why am I feeling this way? And then after the first week when my head got clear and my body went through a stress detox at, you don't want to know how many levels I went through. I go into bed and suddenly what's happening is my dream state is very, very active. All right. My dream state is very, very active at the best of times. So much so lately, that even my daily activities that I'm involved with, as simple as they may be, are showing up in my dream state. And I'm wondering, what the frig is going on? Now my daily activities are showing up in exemplified forms in the dream state. So now what's happening is I've noticed something's taken an even bigger shift during this quiet time when I've actually had time to contemplate and reflect. You've heard me do this in other videos, and you're going to hear me say this a lot. I came to a eureka moment. A eureka moment. That my dream state, when you go to sleep at night and you have activities and you experience things and you go places and things manifest and you're doing things and all of these wonderful dream state training that I said was happening before was going on. And I did say it's going to filter in and become your waking state of consciousness. It hit me, finally, after all of that time. Here, in the physical. Whatever you're experiencing, whatever moment you're living, whatever reality you're having, whatever thing you're going through, this is the dream state. This here is the dream state. And when we go to sleep is when we wake up. Now, some people are going to say a whole bunch of well, I don't remember my dreams. Well, that's too bad. That just shows you how asleep you are. And some will say, well, you're judging people again and you're being critical. No, I'm not. Geez, people, if you're asleep, you're asleep. If you don't dream, there's a reason for it. Because you're not capable of handling the wake-up call and the memories that come to you that maybe come to the point where you realize that being here in the physical is the dream state. This is only the dream state. This whole thing is an illusion. It's like that show, The Matrix. It's a program. And all there is here is one piece of you that's expressing in this reality, the dream state, and everything you see happening to you is an illusion. It's not really happening. It's a dream. You're living the dream. Like they say, well, people will say, well, I'm living the dream. I'm going to go to America and live the dream. Well, guess what? They're right. You're doing it. You're in a dream. You're living the dream is what you're doing. So when I realized that, I'm saying to myself, holy shit. Well, what does that do to the ascension process? There's so many people believe that they're going to ascend. There's nowhere to ascend to. You've already ascended. You see. And what you're doing is you're now experiencing the dream state is here. When you go to bed at night and you go to sleep is when you're awake. However, your oversoul up here, okay, now trying to get your attention and wake you up through here in the heart center is beginning to wake you up and do something for your consciousness. Because your consciousness has been so riddled with programs, belief system, innuendos, and programming, and you see this every day. If you have acquired certain habits that you've taken on from childhood, all right, that dictate to you certain behaviors that you must comply with and or do, you're following a program. Religious indoctrination is one. I'll give you an example. And this is not to say that I'm biased or prejudiced in any way, shape, or form. Here in Canada, we have a multicultural society. And we have people that come here from their particular culture or with their religious background. and they want to continue on with their religious culture and programming here in Canada. And I get it. I understand that. And what's happening is they want to wear their clothing that they're customary wear in their own country or their own culture, and they want to do it here. And it's becoming an issue. And my issue when I see it and I look at this is, what's the big issue? Why is it so important to be able to do this? Because all you're doing is defending or trying to protect a program that you've been conditioned and programmed and literally brainwashed with. And the same goes in the political structure in all of our societies, in Canada, the United States, and everywhere else. It's the same thing all over again. It's no different. So when I realize that I'm living the dream, that my waking state consciousness, as I see it from my limited perspective of the form of my consciousness, here again, I'm going to use that word again. When you take a look at form, take a look at your consciousness and how your consciousness expresses. What is limiting or containing your form? Your form being your expression of consciousness. Your consciousness is a containment field of all of your belief systems, ideologies, philosophies that you've been conditioned with. Very few people on this planet have done their own conditioning or created self. Most of us and our self is created by other people, conditions, and or indoctrination, programs, or belief systems of other people. In other words, that unique saying that I've heard and I've used many times before, every day, in every way, you are being bombarded with information, indoctrination, advertisement, and input for no other purpose than to modify your behavior to suit the convenience of other people. So are you really living the dream? What you're doing is you're presenting your form of consciousness in the limited expression that it is in a vehicle that's suitable for it. And that suitable vehicle is the physical body as we know it. But is your form limited to that physical body? The belief system of the physical body and the containment field of form is so limited and so protected and so scarred and covered over, it can't remember its original form. Remember, up here, oversoul? Okay, oversoul, up here, expresses through here, trying to wake up people. And part of the wake-up call is to come to the realization on your own. I'm just sharing you what's happened to me. Many of you think, well, he's a total nut job. I would agree. If I was listening to me talking right now, I think I was a nut job too. But I think this video has some merit, and I may be helpful to some. So, and you'll notice I haven't used the predominant titles that I usually use in this video. I'm staying away from that totally. So for many, this is going to be a boring video, and they probably won't want to listen to it because it doesn't have that pizzazz thing in front of it all the time. So anyways, as I was saying, so when I realized this, suddenly I didn't feel like I was wrong anymore. I actually felt very comfortable with who I am. And I actually felt very comfortable with my belief systems that have changed, my belief systems that have loosened up, and my belief systems don't require something anymore to function in a way that it did. And it's this. I have noticed that the one thing that has become predominantly a very big problem in the dream world here is the development of the intellectual capacity. It has become the computerized, artificial intelligence form of protection of the belief systems of the individuals in question. It's lost its place. So what happens is the intellectual capacity, which is supposed to be the voice of the soul up here expressed through here, has now become the dominant form or expression of consciousness in certain individuals. So what they do is they try to protect all of the other aspects, the mental, the emotional, and the other parts of themselves through the intellectual capacity. I'm very intellectual, can't you tell? But I've got mine in the right place. So when I realized that, wow, this is really it, man. This is the dream state. So when I go to sleep at night, all of this stuff that I'm experiencing, the prophetic information, the traveling in different dimensions and timelines and reality, the connection with people that I don't even know here, that's real. That's for real. It's real. This here is not. This is the dream state. We're all asleep. But we're walking and talking in the sleep state and experience it a very limited form of consciousness. But as the wake-up process continues, something had to happen to begin to wake us up. So form, manifesting as Kundalini energy, runs up the spine, activates this whoa here in the middle of the chest. All hell breaks loose, and suddenly you start to change, evolve, and grow. And sooner or later, you're going to reach the same point that I do. You're going to realize that the waking state that we exist and move about and create in is the dream state. And it's very protected here. We have limited abilities, limited power, because we had limited expression. And here's the other part of it. When you leave the physical body, you have continually programmed and changed your beliefs, and some of them have got locked in because of traumatized impressions that have been put into the mental and the emotional and the etheric body. What happens is you still have to maintain that physical looking form when you leave the physical body. And you take all of the belief systems, ideologies, and philosophies with you, and you go to a non-physical body existence, which still requires form of the physical entity shell. And then you start the pattern all over again. So when you move to the point of ascension, you come to realize, as I have, as I've been traveling as of late, I don't need form as I know it or experience it here to connect with someone. I can go without form. I can go as pure stream of consciousness. Mind to mind, if you will. So if this is the case and we're all living in the dream state, because that's what we're doing, when I realized this, I felt great. Because you know what? Now I am excited. Because I'll tell you something, and this is going to come as a big surprise to some of you. I am bored. I've been bored for years being here. This is the most boring experience. This is not exciting. This is a kiddie's playground, where we come in, we sit in a sandbox, and we throw sand at each other. If we don't like each other, we smack each other. This is kiddie's playtime for adults here in physical bodies in the dream state. We're coming here to do that, play in a sandbox. And sooner or later, when time dictates, and Oversoul says, well, we're going to wake him or her up, the first thing you start doing is remembering your dreams when it's time. Because I'll tell you something, we're not all equal. We're not. We're all at different states of form and development. And some of you say, well, we all come from the same source. No, we don't. Well, God created us all. No, that's a religious thing. That exists only here in a few planes in the astral plane. God as we know it in the religious form does not exist. That's programming. Creative source does exist, and that's not God. So when I realized all of this, I'm saying to myself, I feel really good. And you know what the other thing was that happened? Suddenly, in one night, when I came to this realized that this is the dream state being here, well, look out in the other state, in the real state, the real place. Somebody turned on the lights, and now guess what? It's lights, camera, action, full retention of everything I'm doing, going, being, experiencing, and realize just how multidimensional I really am. And that this part of me here, living in the dream, is essential because it's giving me the experience of developing new forms and streams of consciousness in a very compressed and limited and challenging experience. That is a good thing. That's why we're all here. We're here for the opportunity to add to our multidimensional state of consciousness. The problem is, we believe that this is all that exists, and what we see and think as being the dream state is not real. Because it's programmed, we've lost our form and shape of consciousness. You see. So this is what is happening. So when I realized this, and this started happening in the dream state, and I realized, like, holy crap, this is amazing. I feel wonderful. I'm not bored anymore. I can just look around on some of the things that people are doing, like, like going nuts over a Netflix show like Game of Thrones. I look at it and I say, hey, children have to do something that's amusing for them. It's like when your children, you got to keep your children, kind of amused with the latest toy or whatever, or they get cranky. It's no different when they get in bigger bodies. They're all the same. They still need toys and trivialities to entertain them. And they still need belief systems that they have something to give them form, even though if they didn't create the form themselves, somebody else created it for them. And sooner or later, they wake up. And when they come to that point, all of you out there who are bored with being physical, who look around and say, this is really silly, all of this stuff that people are getting so upset and excited about. Okay, and they're taking this so personally. The other thing that I notice is the families. Okay, families are and can be very derogatory to one's physical well-being and condition. The family unit, which is now going to be reconstituted, reconstructed, rebuilt, remodeled, and remolded in every way, shape, or form, is in a state of flux and chaos. So new form is being given to that. And that's why many people are here at this time who are volunteers who are coming back in and waking up more quickly than other people so that they can share the experience as they go along. So as this happens, as I look in the sea and I look at what's going on in some families, yes, it's tough, it's rough, but it wouldn't be happening unless it was necessary in a limited experience. Because this is the dream state. This is where you're working out different patterns of creation, different patterns of reality in a limited context and a very compressed timeline in the dream state of physical reality. So for those of you out there who understand what I'm talking about, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to make a really watch the comments on this video. But there will be a few who's going to understand exactly what I'm talking about, because I tell you, I feel wonderful. I'm very happy because now I understand there's more to me than just me sitting here. Okay? And it's like some people in their 20s and 30s, and they're so concerned about how they look or how they feel, and their image is everything. Who gives a shit? As your body ages 10, 20, 30 years down the road, you won't give a crap how you look. And whether you got the latest style or the latest fashion, or whether you go to Timbuktu on a holiday, really won't that matter all that much. Because it's only limited. Because you're in your dream state. You're learning how to play in the sandbox. Very simple. So once I experienced that, I felt totally different. And now I look forward. I actually look forward to going to bed so I can put this thing to sleep in a comatose mode, all right? So I can really experience who I am and the unlimited potential, the fascinating journeys, the creative powers and abilities that I have to manifest them in my real time. And then I come back to the illusion of physical, the dream state. I go home and then I come back here to go to sleep and experience it in a limited form. For many of you, you will think I'm right out to lunch, but as you listen to this, some of you, I suggest that you try and wrap your head around it, kind of fantasize about it, think about it, and then take a look at some of the experiences you're having in the astral planes with other people, the perhaps sensual sexual encounters you're having, or the dimensional travels that you're having, which you call the dream state, or the body jumping that you're doing in the dream state where you're experiencing in other people's bodies. And start looking at it and say, maybe that's the real stuff and what's here is not real. This is the dream state here. When you do that, then you have a lot to look forward to. And you're not going to be as unhappy and as miserable as you are being here. All right? Once you understand that. And it's going to eliminate immediately a ton of any of what you might call debris, emotional debris, or that other silly, stupid thing that people still keep talking about, karma, from you. Okay? There is no such thing as karma. When the heart center activated in you and everybody else that is going to be activated in, the one thing that disappeared was all of the programming. What you're living now is the after effect in the chakra system of the form contained in the dream state reality that's been created. The illusion is here. This is the dream state. When you think about it that way, it changes the whole perspective. And I'm going to leave it there at that point. Can't wait to see the comments on this one. And you will know I didn't use that title, and I'm not going to put it in on this one. See what happens.